This is Laura with Journey to Generational Wealth. For those of you that do not know me, I am a financial coach, a speaker, an author, and the owner of Journey to Generational Wealth. And this is my very first time going live. So let's see if this works. I am going live on multiple platforms here. So I'm just checking to make sure that everything is working correctly. And luckily, no one is on just yet. So I am doing this kind of in a silo. So I'm okay with that. Let's see. So today I am going to be talking about relationships and money, which is always something good to be talking about, especially if you are in a relationship. I want you to feel comfortable with having conversations with your partner as it pertains to finances, especially if you are someone who intends to, um, get married to that person in the rest of your life with that person. Then you absolutely need to feel comfortable having conversations about finances. So, again, I do apologize that I'm not looking directly. I am trying to make sure that I am live on all of my platforms, which is what is supposed to be happening here. And it looks like okay, great. It looks like I am. So anyhow, like I said, wanted to talk about, we're okay. Sorry about that. So I wanted to talk to you all about finances and within your relationship. So in the month of February, tons of people think that it's like an excellent idea to get engaged on Valentine's Day, which is super exciting. Everybody loves a love story. Everybody wants to, hear how did he propose or how did she propose or, what really actually happened. And we're all super excited about that and wanting to, again, I do apologize that I'm like looking off because I'm trying to make sure that I have everything taken care of. But everybody is super excited and wants to hear what the story is and so on and so forth. But when it comes down to it, there's so many couples that don't talk about their finances prior to getting engaged. They don't talk about their finances while they're actually engaged. They don't talk about their finances when they actually get married. And 20 to 40% of people, they're in divorce because they haven't talked about their finances. And it's really not something that should be as taboo, I guess, as people think that it is. It really shouldn't be something that's like, oh my goodness, why would you not talk about them? Like, if this is the person that you're going to spend the rest of your life with, then you should be pretty good to go to have any conversation with them whatsoever. Please invite people into the room and let them know that we are live here. I definitely want to, make sure that this goes out to everyone that needs to see it, everyone that needs to hear it. And so my thing is, it shouldn't be a challenge for you to have conversations about your finances with your romantic partner, especially if you are having discussions about getting married, having discussions about, if you're already engaged or if you are already married. You want to talk about every aspect of your finances. Talk to me about your spending habits. Talk to me about how you feel when, your finances are not what you would like for them to be. Talk to me about, oh, wow, that does not look clear. That's not good. Talk to me about, how you do if, like I said, if your money is not the way that you want for it to be, if you are, what happens if you don't have a job? Like, how are you going to be with your, how's your mood going to be? How are your emotions going to be? So on and so forth. These are things that you need to know. Hi to whoever just joined. I finally have somebody watching. I'm super excited, although this is new technology to me, so I have no idea who you are, but hi and welcome. Thank you so much for being here. So anyhow, what we're talking about is relationships and money. And so please invite others into the room. I would love to have more people join. But what I was saying is you shouldn't have a problem talking to your romantic partner about finances, especially if you all are venturing towards getting engaged, if you're already engaged, if you guys are already married, then you all should be talking about everything. And finances is definitely one of those things that you should be talking about. You want to talk about what's your credit score? Let me see your credit report. I'm going to give you my credit report. Let's discuss what our perspectives are on, debt. Whose debt do we want to tackle first? Or do we want to tackle both of our debt at the same time? And if so, what's our plan for doing that? You want to talk to them about their spending habits. Hey, let me see your Amazon purchase history. And I know that can be super scary. Every December, I pull my Amazon purchase history. I am a self-professing Amazonaholic. And it's super scary sometimes to see like exactly how much money I've spent. But when I start having those conversations with my significant other, and we're going to move towards being engaged and towards being married, I definitely have every intention of divulging, like, this is what I do. These are my financial habits. Are you a person who is an emotional shopper? So if something is taxing to you, if you're stressed out, do you go to shopping? Do you go to spending money? Are you a gamer? So you're constantly putting money there. Do you bet on the games? Like, you need to have all aspects of conversations with your significant other about what your spending habits are and what your relationship is with money. How do you feel when you get lump sums of money? Are you like, oh my goodness, my money is burning a hole in my pocket. So therefore you feel as though you have to spend it as quickly as you can because you can't just have this money sitting there without you doing something with it. If so, that's a money mindset issue. And that's something that you all need to talk about. Are you a person who is like, oh, if I get a lump sum of money, then I'm absolutely going to save it, or I'm going to pay off some debt with it, and then I am going to save the rest of it, or maybe I'm going to invest it? Are you a person who's never invested before whatsoever because you feel like investing is like gambling, or you just have no knowledge of, what you're supposed to do with investing? All of these things are conversations that you should be having with your significant other, so both of you know what your relationships are with money. What about a budget or a money management process? What is yours? Do you have one? How much are your monthly bills? And when you have these conversations, they shouldn't be guesstimations. They should be actual numbers. Like, let's sit down, let me look at your budget. Let me show you mine. If neither of you has a budget, fine. Let's pull our bank statement so we can see this is what I'm paying towards rent. This is around about the range that I'm paying towards my utilities each month. This is how much I spend on hair, on haircuts, on clothes, on shoes, on makeup and personal products, on grooming, massages, pedicures, nails, whatever it is, beard massages, whatever it is that you all are doing, you want to have 100% transparency about your finances. And why do I say that this is so important? Well, one of the reasons why it's so important is A, if you're going to marry this person, then transparency is key across your entire relationship as it pertains to literally everything. But also, it'll prevent you from having unnecessary arguments later on in life about, what, you're spending all this money or you're doing X, Y, and Z, and I wasn't aware. I didn't know that these were your behaviors. I didn't know that if you had an emotional issue or if something taxing was happening in your life, that you would, go on a huge shopping spree, or I didn't know if we got in a large lump sum of money from a tax return that you were going to go free for all, or I didn't know that you were going to hold on to the money so tight so I couldn't do anything whatsoever. And you were going to want to save all the money, or you were going to want to pay off all of our debt. Like, I just didn't know. This clears up the I didn't knows and the opportunities for unnecessary arguments. Make sure that you all are aligned financially. And maybe it's going to take some time for you to be aligned financially, and that's perfectly fine. But you want to be open, you want to have the conversations so that you can get on track, so at least you know fully what you're getting into. Love is a wonderful thing, but it often comes with rose colored glasses, and people are like, oh, my significant other is just so wonderful, and he's this, that, and the other, or she's this, that, and the other, and they make me feel so warm and fuzzy, and I just love it and everything. But then when it comes to the nitty gritty of, do they push the toothpaste from the center versus from the bottom? Do they leave their shoes and socks on the floor? Do they, spend get paid on Friday and their bank account is at zero by Saturday because they've spent all the money? Or do they prioritize, getting hair done and getting nails done and going to happy hour or betting on the game before they make sure that their bills are taken care of? Like, those are things that you're going to want to know before you say yes to the ring or I do when you get to the end of the aisle. Like, these are things that I'm not saying would prevent you from saying yes or would prevent you from saying I do, but they're definitely things and conversations that you want to have. Like I said, 20 to 40% of divorces happen because of financial disagreements and arguments. Why not give yourself some grace and relieve yourself of some of those things? And that's not to say that perhaps you'll never have a disagreement over finances, but if you know how your significant other manages their money, you know what their money mindset is, you understand those things, it'll make life so much easier. Ask questions like, when do you want to get retired? What does retirement look like for you? So that are you investing in your retirement? Do you have a 401k? Do you have a 403a? What are your retirement funds that you have out there? Do you have anything? Are you investing outside of retirement as well? What is your plan? Do you have money under the mattress? There are still some people who have an aversion to having their money in banks and so on and so forth. Like, that's something that you're going to want to know. Let me see what your 401k looks like. Let me see what your retirement accounts look like. How much are you contributing based on your income to your 401k? What is your thought process behind doing it? Don't attack your partner when you guys start to discuss your finances. If their perspectives are different from yours, definitely don't attack them. Come from a place of trying to understand and trying to learn. Ask questions. Why do you do things the way that you do? What is your perspective? How do you see this? What do you want to gain from this situation? What do you not want to gain from this situation? When do you plan to pay this debt off? What has been your process for paying debt off in the past? That's one of the reasons why I say look at a person's credit score, pull their credit history, physically see the paperwork yourself. Let's see over time, like, has your credit been increasing over time or has your credit been decreasing over time? Talk to me about what's happened that may have caused it to go fluctuate in one direction or the other. If you all have a difference of opinion, then try and have conversations that will help you to merge your perspectives together. I'm a saver, you're a spender. Where's a happy medium between those things, between those two? Or you may end up having a partner who's like, you know what? I am perfectly fine with you taking care of the finances, and I will sit back and relax because I just don't want to do it anymore. And that's perfectly fine. But I would always say, don't be 100% hands off. Make sure you're always aware of what is happening, even if you completely and totally trust your partner with everything, and you don't have any concerns about them not doing what they say that they're going to do. Always have your eyes on things. Always make sure that you do. If one person is a person who handles all the finances, do a monthly checkup. Hey babe, I just wanted to, we're going to have a family meeting. Let's sit down. I'm going to pull out the budget. I'm going to talk to you about everything that has taken place this month, everything that we're doing. Even if both of you are managing things, still do those checkups. Still do that time when you sit down and you pull out your budget, you pull out all of your bills, you pull out the credit card statements, whatever the case may be, and you sit down and look at everything and you discuss everything. This is what's been paid this month. This is what my plan is for next month. This is how much we saved. This is how much we invested. What are your thoughts? What are your perspectives? Make sure that you guys are still on the same page, and that your perspectives are still the same, that your goals, your couple goals, your family goals, financial goals are still the same. Make sure that you're still on track. And the reason I say that is because, like I said, it helps to eliminate arguments later on. It also helps to eliminate one person feeling like, well, you're controlling everything. Well, if you gave them permission to control everything, maybe you don't really have that much, say in being upset about it. But at the same time, you always want to know. There's something that I've heard from a few of my clients, but from several people over the course of my life. And they're like, my husband handled everything. He handled all of our finances. And when he passed away, I had no idea what to do. I didn't know where to pay our mortgage. I didn't know when the car insurance was paid. I didn't know, who our insurance company was. I just didn't know. And often it's more so women who are saying this versus men, but the tables could be turned and it could be that situation. And that's the reason why I say you need to be consistently having those sit down meetings. We're having a family meeting. We're going to talk about our finances. We're going to talk about what our goals are, where we are in achieving our financial goals, what our next steps are, so on and so forth. You never want to be in a position where you're blindsided really about anything. Talk about, do we want to have joint checking accounts and savings accounts, or do we want to keep all of our money separate? And if we do keep our money separate, are we going to have one joint account where we both put money into it to pay for bills? There are big conversations about the whole 50-50. Are you a 50-50 person? Because your partner may not be a 50-50 person. And when I say 50-50, that's I pay 50% of the bills, you pay 50% of the bills, and then we do whatever we want to do with the rest of our money. Like, you want to talk to your partner to find out what their perspective is. Do you all align with that perspective? And if you don't align with that perspective, have conversations. Like I said, you never want to be aggressive about these conversations. You want to ask questions so that you can understand, what is your perspective? Why do you feel this way? Is there something that has caused you to feel this way? I would be remiss if I did not talk about financial protection going into a marriage. Have conversations about prenuptial agreements. I personally am a person who believes in prenuptial agreements. If you own anything, then that's an asset and you should protect your assets. The work that you have done for the 20 years before you got married, 30 years before you got married, 40 years, 50 years, 60 years, 5 years, whatever it is, prior to getting married, why should someone who wasn't there, who didn't contribute to any of that work that you did, to save up or to own or whatever the case may be, why should they financially benefit from those things if you all are to separate lives and move into different directions after divorce? That's just my personal opinion. I'm not putting my opinion on anyone else, but that is something that I would 100% have a conversation about it. And it's not from the perspective of, I don't want to share what I have with you. It's from the perspective of, I want us both to feel comfortable and protected that we're entering into this marriage because we love one another and we want to spend the rest of our lives together. And that it genuinely isn't about the money. And that being said, whatever is yours now is yours, and whatever is mine is mine. And we'll mutually together, while we are in a good, positive place, while we still love one another, while we still want the best for one another, we're going to have a conversation, put down on paper, and make it legal what our opinions are, versus getting to the end of a marriage wherein it's often very emotional. People make irrational decisions. You're not thinking about what's best for your partner. Often you're only thinking about what's best for yourself. And you won't necessarily be making the best decision for both of you versus the best decision for one of you. So I would to suggest having that conversation. What's your perspective on prenuptial agreements? And like I said, do it from a place of love. I love you. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. I never, ever want us to get divorced. I want this to be like the car insurance that we have. Everyone prays that they never, ever have to use their car insurance. No one gets car insurance because they're like, you know what? I'm going to find the biggest vehicle, the most expensive way, and I'm going to crash this car into another one or into a building or a house or something because I want to pay all this money out for an accident. No one does that. Everyone who has homeowners insurance or who has rental insurance, when people come to my house and they're like working on the house or have kids around and they're playing and so on and so forth, I'm like, my homeowners insurance is for show. It's like a picture on the wall. It's just for us to look at. So it's pretty, but we don't use it. So I need everybody to be careful, be safe while you're out here, because we're not about to use this life insurance. We're not about to use this homeowners insurance or this renter's insurance. So my perspective is, consider your prenuptial agreement if that's something that you all decide to do, if that's something that you want to look into, the same way. It's just something to have that you pray to God that you'll never ever use, but it's insurance for just in case. Okay, gonna get off of that. Ask your partner about paying tithes and offerings or doing charitable giving. Maybe you're a giver, maybe they're not a giver. What does that look like? Like, these are all conversations that you need to have. Never at any point should you just go into it and it's all just, you know what, we'll figure it out after the fact, or you do what you do and I do what I do. Because what happens if your partner loses their job and they don't have anything to contribute coming into the house? Are you going to be upset? Are you going to be like, okay, well, when we got married, you were working, but now you're not working. So like, what's the plan now? What are you going to do? Or what happens if your spouse gets sick or they get hurt and they can't work anymore? Like, have those conversations. Do you have money set aside for a rainy day? Do you have an emergency fund? Do you all individually have them coming in? If so, how much does each of you have? Or are you going to create one together? If you do have them individually, are you going to keep your individual emergency funds that you already had separate and start building one together? These are all things that you all should be talking about. These are all conversations that you should be having, like I said, prior to the getting down on one knee and asking someone to marry you, prior to the saying I do. And maybe you're already past that. Maybe you're already engaged. Maybe you're already married. You can still have these conversations. When you go into financial conversations with your significant other, don't spring them up on them. Schedule a time. Say, babe, hey, can you look at your calendar? I want us to sit down and talk. And don't be like, we need to talk. Because everybody knows when they hear the we need to talk, that it's like your heart clenches up. You're like, oh God, I know that this is going to be something bad. It's not something that I want to do. so on and so forth. Like, be lighthearted about it. Just be like, hey, I just want us to talk about our finances or whatever. Let's have a nice dinner, set a nice mood. Come into it open and welcoming. If you guys schedule it and then your partner comes in and they say that they've had a bad day, reschedule it. Don't still do it that same day. Make sure that both partners are in a good mood, that both partners are in a good mindset to go into this conversation. Say, hey, you know what? Let's both bring our credit scores. Our credit reports. Let's pull our credit reports. Let's both bring our credit reports. Let's both bring our bank statements. Let's both pull our retirement account information. Let's pull all financial information that we have, any investments that we have. Let's pull it all. Let's look at it all. Let's exchange. Let's talk. If you don't have a budget, let's create a budget together. Let's figure out how we're going to do things together. Again, I say, there are people who are already married, who have been married for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, and still are having arguments about their finances. And it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, because if you would come together and have those crucial conversations, then you can eliminate a lot of the arguing. If you come from a place of understanding and wanting to understand and asking questions to understand and being open to it, then you'd be in a much better place versus a place of attack. Well, you do this and I do this, and you only bring in this amount of money, but I bring in that amount of money. And then you want to spend out this, and this. That's never where you want to come from. This is somebody that you love. You all are partners. You all are in this together. When I talk to my clients about having the crucial financial conversations, I'm always telling them, make sure that both of you all are in a good mood. Make sure that both of you all come open to having an honest conversation, and make sure that you remember that the person at the other side of the table that you're looking at is your partner. They love you and you love them. And at the end of this, you all both want to be in a good place. You want to walk away both feeling comfortable, both feeling like you've won, not like it's me against them, it's them against me. If I'm the one who has to win this, if you're going into those kind of conversations, you've already lost altogether. Like, for the whole relationship, you've lost. You're one. You all are one together in everything. Even if you opt to have your finances separate, you're still one. Especially if you decide to get married. And if you have questions or concerns, or finances is just a super hard topic for us to discuss, that's one of the things that I do with my clients. Like I said in the beginning, I'm a financial coach. I help people figure out where their money is going, help them create tangible, realistic, achievable goals so that they can get their money funneled in the right direction to where they want it to go, so that they can achieve financial freedom, stability, security, and then embark on their journey to generational wealth. I would love to work with you and your partner on getting your finances together. Like I said, February is one of those seasons. February the 14th is especially, I think I saw an article that said over 444,000 people in the United States get engaged on Valentine's Day. Happy engagement to all of those people, to all of you. But I really want to make sure that when you're going into that engagement, when you're going into that marriage, or even if you are already married, that finances is not a struggle for you all, that's not an argument that you all have, that you both feel comfortable about having those conversations, you both know what's going on with your finances, and you're both good to go on everything from your financial perspective. I am Laura with Journey to Generational Wealth. Thank you so very much for your time with me. If you would like a free financial consultation, please either scan the QR code that is in the corner, or I will have a link in the description. You can go to my website, journeytogenerationalwealth.com, and I would love to meet with you and help you get your finances on track. Otherwise, you all have a great evening, and thank you so much for being with me on this live. I really appreciate it.